Hello, Crafty crew. Welcome back to the Crafty Quinn, where creativity meets affordability. It's been 10 months, but I'm so thrilled to be back with a brand new DIY extravaganza just in time for Valentine's Day 2024. And the best part? We're keeping it budget friendly with materials you can snag at your local Dollar Tree. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell to join our amazing Crafty Quinn crew. Now, let the crafting adventure begin. Starting with DIY number 1. So this first DIY uses a metal bottle cap sign from Dollar Tree. I found this in their Crafter Square section, and this is also a place where you can find other metal signs and blank wood pieces in all kinds of shapes and designs, and they've really improved their Crafter Square section. So we're using the Plaster Waverly color. It's a brand by Plaid Crafts, and I normally find it at Walmart. So I am going to go ahead and use this Dollar Tree foam brush and do my first layer of paint on this sign, and I do go back and do a couple more layers of paint on this sign off camera, of course. I don't want to bore you with all that, but I definitely had to make sure that this was properly coated and dry before applying additional coats, because otherwise you get these streaky lines with just the first coat, and then you just want to make sure you cover them up with the next coats that you do. So I'm also going to apply the paint to the edges of this bottle cap sign, and that is definitely an important piece of this project because this is going to help go towards the, I guess, rustic or antique look of this project. But I don't worry about this too much. I do go back and maybe do one more coat on this part of the sign, but really the middle was the focal point, so I did the most coats of paint there. So once it was completely covered, we're going to take some Waverly Antique Wax. This is my favorite one to use for sure, but I just like to use a small amount of this. I like to start off light with my chippy brush, and I just dab a little bit in the shape of an X on a paper towel. And I do this about 3 times because I really do just go so light with the wax. And my way of thinking with this is if you can start off light, and if you don't like it, you can always go back and add more layers of the antique wax. So I don't like to start off heavy. So we're just going to apply the antique wax all the way around this metal sign, metal bottle cap sign. And I did leave some of the metal exposed when I painted this. I didn't want to thoroughly coat this. I thought it looked kind of, I don't know, I thought it looked kind of pretty with having that metal exposed as well. So this is a heart-shaped wood cutout from Dollar Tree's Valentine's Day materials. I've saved this from probably last year's Valentine's Day materials that I got. So I really like these wood cutouts, and I'm going to paint this with the plaster color from Waverly. It's a really great chalk paint, and it dries really fast, doesn't smell, so that is why I use this, use the Waverly paints. So I'm going to add some antique Waverly wax to this heart-shaped wood cutout as well. And I did this all along the edges here and just didn't put a lot of antique wax on my chippy brush. So this chippy brush is linked down for you below in the description box of this video. I got this from a multi-pack of different sizes of chippy brushes from Amazon. So if you guys are interested, you should definitely check it out because you never know what size chippy brush you might need for a project. So it's really come in handy so far. So I think I've got this covered enough. And then I didn't really worry about the middle of it so much. And then I took this burlap banner. This is another Dollar Tree item. And I love this burlap banner. They had this out, I think they first introduced this when they started just coming out with more farmhouse themed items in Dollar Tree's Crafter Square section. And they really did improve things. So it was a perfect fit for this wood cutout. And now I'm just going to take some hot glue and apply this to the burlap. And be sure to watch out when you stick this onto the burlap because the back of this burlap is plastic. So obviously the hot glue heats that up and this can be a bit warm when you pick it up. So I just took my scissors and I cut out an outline of this heart leaving some of the burlap exposed so it had a nice burlap trim. So you can cut this trim to be as close to the heart as you want. Like it can be a thin layer, a larger layer. But the reason I'm doing this like I'm doing in this video is because I want to make sure that it's going to fit inside my sign. But if you use another sign, obviously, do this to change all of this or customize this all to your liking. So I'm taking some more hot glue and I'm placing this on top of the burlap back, and now I'm applying the heart and the burlap inside the metal bottle cap sign. It was not totally like centered, so it is what it is, but I still think it came out cute. So next I used this Be Still sticker, and my thinking was it's, Be Still My Heart, because it's inside a heart. So this is a Dollar Tree Farmhouse sticker that I've been holding on to, and I thought maybe this was the best use for it. So there's many different ways you can style it, but I was thinking maybe this is something you can hang on a doorknob. So that is DIY number 1. DIY number 2. Apologies for any background noise. My dog is very much in doggy dreamland. Please make sure to subscribe when you hear the popping noise. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. I can't believe I'm saying that. So this is a metal jar sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm using more of that Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster for this. I love it. It's perfect for neutral crafts. And if you want, you can tape the bottom of this sign if you don't want the paint to accidentally get on it. I just traced it very, very close to the edge, so I didn't cover it with any tape beforehand. So tried to make some even streaks on this. So I did a few coats of paint, as you can see. And so after it was dry, my my cat Eddie decided to join in on the fun. And he loves being the center of attention. He noticed the camera and of course had to stick his face right in the camera. But mostly he was just curious to see what I was doing. So next we're using some Waverly Mineral Chalk Paint. And this is what we're going to be using for the lid of the jar. Gotta say, I love it when my cats try to, hang out with me or visit with me when I'm crafting. They just really want to know what I'm spending all my time on. So I have the lid of the jar completely painted, and I did not do multiple coats of paint for this. I just kind of let it be. And I kind of like the streakiness of the paint because it gives more dimension to the jar lid of this sign. So we're taking more Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just doing a light brushing using the same chippy brush, which is great. I feel like I have like a dedicated chippy brush for wax. I'm trying to just get the most use out of every brush that I can. So I just did very, very light, and then if I didn't like it, I went back and I added more. And that is definitely how I recommend going about it. But if you have a heavier hand with your antique wax, that is totally fine too. It is up to your preference. So these are some, I guess, heart-shaped chalk tags. I don't know what Dollar Tree's intended purpose was for these. Maybe for like a labeling system, but I'm using Dollar Tree's chalk paint pen. So it's not like a regular piece of chalk. It's definitely more like a liquid of, not like a liquid, but like, I don't know how to describe it, but I love that chalk paint pen. And for the most part, it writes things pretty well. So I thought it'd be fun to make a little jar of hearts with these heart-shaped ornaments. And they do have holes in them that were, kind of annoying, as you can see. So I decided to cover them up with some buttons just to make it a little bit prettier. And you'll notice I added some twine to the top. I did that off camera, just totally spur of the moment, and I wish I had recorded that, but I really just wrapped the twine around it and just made a little bow. But here is our neutral jar of hearts for Valentine's Day 2024. I have to say, I really do. I really loved all of these. And I can't wait to put them up for Valentine's Day. DIY number 3. So this is a box of wood cutout hearts. I think they're about only an inch tall each. And then this metal tray on the left here, this is a Dollar Tree metal tray. Also something I got from their Crafter Square section. I love when they have things like this and when I can find stuff like this. Sometimes I have to go around to a couple different stores before I find everything that I'm looking for, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is because sometimes you can find some really great things if you just look around. So I'm putting about 6 of these on some double-sided tape. I love this Scotch tape, double-sided tape. It makes painting a lot easier. So thank you guys for telling me about this method when I first started my crafting journey here on YouTube. That was very helpful because we are going to use it for these Amazon wood cutout hearts. So I will link them down for you below. So this is the color Hazelnut, also a Waverly chalk paint color. Absolutely love it. This was a color that I used for the gingerbread men cookies when I made those crafts. I want to say, I guess last year or the year before, but that is another video I can make sure to link to as well. But I think I only did about maybe 1.5 coats of paint on these hearts because I would paint it and then they would start to look light on some sides, and then I went back and I painted the sides of them as well. But this double-sided tape really came in handy because everything stayed in place. I didn't have to worry about getting it all over my fingers, but I also wore gloves, of course. And then I just kind of got them off the tape by kind of like digging under the pointy edge of the heart. So these magnetic buttons come in a 14 pack. Got these from Dollar Tree a while ago. I've just been saving it for the right project, and this was finally it. So we are making them magnetic, and I just figured, you know, it's a craft that's like really versatile, and now I can, if I want to use that metal tray for something else, I still have it because I didn't glue them down. And you can kind of rearrange them however you want. Eddie came back. I was very worried he was going to steal my magnets because he loves playing with tiny things. I'm sure fellow cat owners can understand this as well. But I don't know. He's my tiniest cat and he loves playing with the tiniest things, but gets him into trouble. So I just glued down the heart on top of the magnet. So I was just placing the magnet down and then just gluing the hearts on top and then testing it to make sure it was definitely sticking. And I was also playing around and making sure that the magnets would definitely stick to the metal tray. And that just made me feel a lot better that it's definitely metal. So we are treating these hearts like they are like gingerbread cookie hearts. So I am going to draw different shapes on them and whatnot. This first one here didn't come out so great. I don't know what I was trying to do. I just tried to draw an outline of the heart. I thought it was going to come out a little bit nicer, but I was a little heavy-handed on the puffy paint here. And this is puffy paint that I got from Michael's. If you guys are looking for this, I was having a hard time finding puffy paint until I found these very large bottles at Michael's about maybe a year ago, but they have really lasted me a long time. So here I'm just writing an XO, or attempting to, and then just drawing some stripes here on this heart. And then I didn't like how it didn't connect, so I went back and attempted to fix it. I connected it. And then this one, I was trying to do something resembling gumdrop buttons. And then this is going to be stripes on an angle. So the puffy paint definitely deflates a little bit, and you kind of have to remember that if you use a lot of it. Just, you know, remember that it's not going to come out looking exactly like how you first made it. So I think they still came out pretty good though. And hopefully to you, this also resembles icing. So this is a very gingerbread Valentine's Day neutral cookie tray. On to DIY number 4. So now we just have one more craft after this, you guys. So this is a 10 by 10 inch wood bead wreath from Dollar Tree's Crafter Square section. Love this. You could do so many things with it. I don't know if you guys also saw this and thought of all the possibilities for crafting, but that's just what we do. So this is a metal heart that I got in they come in a 3-pack, these metal hearts. And so this was the perfect size and shape. So I just started drawing an outline on that burlap that I showed you earlier. And this burlap, I mean, it's also great for many different projects. So, and it's just long enough that it comes with so many pieces. So that is a great way to get many uses out of a $1.25 product. So we made our little burlap heart, and these white felt pieces, I found them at Dollar Tree maybe a couple years ago now. They come in many different sizes, but I think this is the smallest one that they have. They put this out every Valentine's Day, so they should have it out again this year, if I'm not mistaken. So that is just, for now, that is just one side of our heart, but it will be a double-sided heart, and you'll see why. So these lamb's ear pieces, this was something I found at not Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, in their wedding section. These little picks, these floral picks, were great, except you definitely need a wire cutter to cut them. I did attempt it first with just scissors, and it wasn't enough. It just is great for cutting the outside coating of it, but you definitely need a wire cutter to get it through, unless you have some really strong scissors. First, I was going to wrap this with twine, and I didn't like how, I guess, bunched up or like big it was, like pushing out from like the top of the wreath there. So I ended up not going with twine wrapping for these pieces. So here I'm just trying to get the wooden beads to be static and not move so much when I put the lamb's ear at the top of this wreath. So that is why you see me gluing all of these beads together, just the ones at the top, because they're going to be covered up anyway, so it doesn't matter. So next I'm just gluing the lamb's ear pieces together, and they really do a good job of sticking on their own because they're a nice felt. So yeah, they really don't need a whole lot of extra assistance there. But they do need some additional assistance sticking to the wreath itself, and that is where the floral wire comes in. And so this is great for making sure that this does not come off and stay in place, because hot glue, sometimes it's just not enough, especially when it comes to wreaths. I know it's so easy to just hot glue everything. I'm very guilty of that. I hot glue everything, and you know, it's a quick hold, but sometimes you need to come in with that floral wire and just wrap it and then twist tie it at the end. So that is what I did. I just wrapped it many, many times and then just twisted it to make sure it would stay. So that does a great job of holding it where you want, and then you can go in and use your hot glue more so for the stability of it. And so that is just what I'm doing here. I'm just going in and making these pieces more secure, and everything's exactly where I want it. So all of these are ribbons now from Dollar Tree. I'm laying these ribbons down in an X shape because that is how I like to make my bows, with many different ribbon pieces. Sometimes I use a lot of them, sometimes I only use a few, and sometimes I want certain pieces to be the focal point, but I just lay everything on top of each other in an X shape, and then I just try to cinch it as best I can. It's definitely difficult because I was just doing this like by myself. I didn't have someone there to like, hold their finger on it while I cinched it as tight as I could. And if you're in a similar situation, just do the best you can and just pull it as tight as you possibly can. And that is what I have learned now after making these bows for a few years now. So I'm just using a half wood bead. Absolutely love these. This is another common item I like to use. So I'll have a link for this item in my description box of this video as well. And I also found them in multiple sizes. So definitely I couldn't just stick it there and leave it when I was applying the hot glue to the ribbon. So I'm just holding the ribbon I end up holding it for about 30 seconds just to make sure it will stay. I sped everything up a bit just because you don't need to see me do that for 30 seconds. But so now we're making the other side of our burlap heart, and I wanted to make this double-sided because we are going to hang this heart about halfway down the wreath, and it's going to be one of the focal points of this. So I just placed some jute twine coming down from the top and middle of this heart, and now it's going to be inside these two heart pieces, so that will cover it up completely. So I just used some hot glue quickly to just stick them together, and then if there were any edges that didn't match, I just cut them off and just trimmed them so everything looked great and you couldn't see any plastic. So we are just going to glue that felt piece to the other side of it. And so the very top of this felt heart, I did have to kind of turn into a bit of a needle situation because I realized that I added everything too late because the floral wire, I was worried that it didn't look right. And so I covered it up with a small piece of ribbon just to make the whole thing prettier on the back of it, just cover up any of the floral wire that was sticking out, which I'm really glad I did it, but I thought of this heart swinging idea much too late. So I had to feed this through the ribbon, and luckily there was enough space to get it through after turning the ribbon, well, the jute twine itself into a bit of a needle to kind of feed it through. And then I just cut it off. And then I was holding this in place with some hot glue because the heart wasn't quite exactly where I wanted it in the middle. So I just kind of moved it over and burned my finger in the process and got this more centered. So now I'm just kind of checking the height of it. Sorry, it's off camera, but I'm just checking the height and seeing how far down this heart actually comes to the bottom of this wreath and middle. So there it ended up coming down the right amount and it was centered. So I was very happy and relieved. It just took a little bit of work to move that over. So here is our neutral heart wreath. So DIY number 5. It's the last DIY, you guys. So this is going to be probably the quickest DIY in the history of my channel. So I have this live sign that I found just in the regular decor section of Dollar Tree. I thought it was perfect, had so many different possibilities. And then I ended up taking this little wood heart cutout from Dollar Tree's Valentine's Day decor. And I'm sure they're going to have more of these out this year. Apologies for any background noise. My dog is snoring and she is in doggy dreamland. So I just covered this up with the Waverly chalk paint color called Fawn. I love this because it's not too light and it's not the gingerbread color. As you can see, it is a little bit darker. So I just used that double-sided tape again to hold it in place to make sure the whole thing was coated. After it was dried, then it's ready to place down. So I just covered up the eye really easily with this, and this was ready to go. So just after placing some hot glue down, there you go. We have a neutral love sign. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Or maybe you could even leave this out all year round. Well, besides, other holidays, but you know what I mean. For even more inspiration, make sure to check out my other videos, just like the ones popping up on the left-hand side of your screen right now. To stay in the loop on all things Crafty Quinn, follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. Links are in the description below. And hey, don't miss out on exclusive updates and special content. Subscribe to my newsletter on thecraftyquinn.com. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up. Thank you so much for crafting with me today, you guys. Until next time, stay creative, stay crafty, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, y'all.